Hello and welcome to Select 10. In today's video, we'll rank the top 10 action films that are now streaming on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu. And here's a quick tip, since the availability of these movies on the mentioned streaming services varies by region, try searching for them on the main streaming services available in your country. Now let's start the video. Number 10. The Guest. It is a 2014 action thriller film, directed by Adam Wingard. The movie follows the story of David, a U.S. veteran, who surprisingly pays the Peterson household a visit and introduces himself as a colleague of their grandson, Caleb, who died in battle in Afghanistan. However, after he has been allowed into their house and has been residing there for a few days, a chain of murders starts to happen, and Anna, the Caleb sister, feels David is linked to everything. While the actors did a good job and the movie was enjoyable, the plot could have used a bit more substance. Although the theme music was fairly 1980s, the overall action, suspense, and tension will have you glued to your seat until the end of the film. And the movie has a 6.7 rating on IMDb and a 69% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 9. Spartan. It is a 2004 action thriller film directed by David Mamet. The story centers on Robert Scott, a U.S. special agent who does his work without care for old and outdated protocol. But when Laura Newton, the president's daughter, is abducted by a ring of human trafficking, Scott and his apprentice Luke are ordered to investigate the incident and locate Laura before it's too late. As the duo begins their search, the mission is called off because Laura is pronounced dead, but Robert and Curtis, who have found evidence that shows the opposite, maintain their investigation and eventually discover a sinister plot that extends all the way to the top ranks of the government of the United States. There is a 50-50 chance that you have seen this film, but if you haven't, add it to your watch list because it is well worth seeing. If you enjoy spy movies like The Bourne Identity, this is the film for you. And the movie has a 6.5 rating on IMDb and a 62% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 8. The Burning Sea. It is a disaster action film directed by John Andreas Anderson. The film takes place in 1969 and follows the Norwegian authorities as they disclose the existence of one of the world's greatest oil deposits in the Norwegian North Sea, ushering in a golden era of drilling operations. However, the climatic conditions begin to appear 50 years later when a breach on the bottom of the ocean has developed, forcing a rig to crash, and a team of scientists, notably underwater technician Sophia, hurries in to find the injured and investigate the source of the destruction. What they uncover is only the beginning of a potentially deadly disaster, while the real issue arises when the facilities are evacuated and Sophia's partner, Stian, gets stuck in the trenches of water, forcing Sophia to swim in to save him. Overall, it is a visually impressive movie with terrific cinematography and camera work, and it keeps you glued to the screen the entire time. It easily outperforms the most recent disaster films released in 2022. And the movie has a 6.3 rating on IMDb and a 65% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 7. Memory. It is a 2022 action thriller film directed by Martin Campbell. The plot centers on professional assassin Alex Lewis, who has a knack for deadly accuracy. Living in Texas and having to deal with memory loss right before retirement, he first agrees when a former colleague offers him a final project but declines to finish it as it goes against his moral code. As a result, he unwittingly becomes a target of a violent crime syndicate, while federal agents and the Mexican government are called in to study the body trail, which brings investigators close to Alex. As the government and the criminal gang are chasing after him, Alex must use his expertise to stay a step ahead of them. But there is another challenge. Alex is suffering from acute Alzheimer's disease, which is impacting his every movement and making him doubt his ability to believe. The main reason to see this film is Liam Neeson, so as far as action is concerned, you will enjoy this film. And the movie has a 5.7 rating on IMDb and an 81% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 6. Boss Level. It is a 2020 sci-fi action film directed by Joe Carnahan. The plot revolves around Roy Pulver, a retired Special Forces operative who is trapped in an eternal loop of revisiting the day of his death. Consequently, he wakes up every day to the sound of a chopper with heavy weapons firing outside the door and a bounty hunter entering with a sword. In his quest to understand why this is occurring and how to break free from the time vortex, he discovers hints of a covert government operation that may hold the key to solving the mystery surrounding his unexpected death. Now in a battle for survival, Pulver must find Colonel Venter, the prominent member of the federal program, while avoiding well-trained, deadly killers, attempting to prevent him from learning the truth. This film is a lot of fun, with lots of action and an interesting time-traveling story of love and salvation that won't let you become bored even for a second. And the movie has a 6.8 rating on IMDb and a 76% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 5. Elite Squad: The Enemy Within. It is a Brazilian action thriller film directed by José Padilha. It is a follow-up to Elite Squad from 2007, and it continues the story of a BOP, the Special Ops Unit of the Brazil Security Forces, with an attention on the interaction involving government and police departments. The film begins with a rescue attempt, with humanity's worst convicts causing a rebellion in prison and kidnapping guards by force. Following a jail riot, the primary focus of the story is on Captain Nascimento, who is now a top security officer in Brazil's capital city and has been drawn into a brutal civil struggle involving state officials and security forces. All in The Enemy Within is outstanding, from the performances to the realistic conversation to the set design. You may find this film identical to HBO's The Wire due to topic similarities, as both center on criminals and cops and both dive into social matters such as status and corruption. If you haven't seen it already, you should definitely check it out, it's a must-see. And the film has an 8 rating on IMDb and an 89% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 4. Avengement. It is a 2019 action drama film directed by Jesse V. Johnson. The story follows Kane Burgess, a violent criminal who has been let out with armed security guards for a few hours to see his ailing mother in the hospital. But this is where things get interesting, as Kane escapes after killing both of his officers and goes to a British bar where he keeps its people captive in order to take revenge on those who placed him in jail, which includes his own brother. While Kane's backstory is shown in memories, you can witness how he was driven to become the dangerous idiot who wants to kill his own brother. While the story is fine, the action is simply insane, with not just a little, but a lot of it. Avengement is likely to appeal only to a specific audience, and that is action movie lovers. It is a tremendously enjoyable adrenaline experience for action movie fans, so do not miss this one. And the movie has a 6.5 rating on IMDb and a 71% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 3. Triple R. It is a 2022 epic action-adventure film directed by S.S. Rajamouli. The story is set in the year 1920 during British rule, where a cruel governor named Scott Buxton and his vicious wife Catherine travel to the jungle and violently capture a little girl from the Gond community. Outraged by the act, the tribe's protector, Kamram Beam, sets out on a mission to rescue her. Meanwhile, when the British government learns that Beam has begun his quest for her, they enlist the help of Rama Raju, a committed policeman in the Indian Royal Officers, to put an end to the danger. The plot unfolds as each engages in conflict and craves for one another's blood to accomplish their goals. This is without a doubt one of the most liked movies of 2022. The director takes storytelling to an entirely new level, and it's noticeable in the style he presents you with the subject and the characters. Despite the fact that the story is quite simple, it has an excellent screenplay and great cinematography. And the movie has an 8 rating on IMDb and a 94% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2. Riders of Justice. It is a 2020 Danish action comedy movie directed by Anders Thomas Jensen. The story centers on Marcus, a recently deployed soldier who must return home to care for his daughter when his wife dies in a devastating train crash. While everything seemed to point to the incident being a terrible tragedy, a mathematical freak, who was also a male passenger on the train, and his co-workers arrived and tried to persuade Marcus that the incident could have been a well-staged attack, with his wife being an unintentional victim. After encountering a witness to the crashed train, Marcus suspects his wife was killed and starts on a bloodlust expedition to locate those involved. Riders of Justice is a fantastic film. In its essence, it is a revenge thriller that draws the audience into each scene with its clever storytelling, emotional depth, genuinely funny moments, and of course, incredible action. And the movie has a 7.5 rating on IMDb and an 89% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 1. RUROUNI KENSHIN: The Beginning. It is a 2021 action-adventure film based upon the manga series of the same name. It is both a prequel and the 5th and final film in the RUROUNI KENSHIN series. The film takes place in 1864, when Japan's last Revolutionary War erupts from the battleground to the town streets at night. The main plot revolves around Samurai Kenshin Himura, also known as the Batosite, a merciless killer whose ferocious swordsmanship has assassinated numerous government officials with ruthlessness, disregarding the number of soldiers in his path. Even the most elite members of society are unable to control him. But his life changes when he rescues Tomo Yukishiro, a young woman, from some bullies at a motel, and the two gradually develop a romantic interest that results in marriage, which makes Kenshin consider laying down his sword in order to protect love. However, those who are in favor of his former enemies won't let Kenshin off too lightly. Overall, it's a truly satisfying movie, possibly the best in the series. It features some mind-boggling fight scenes, which is a treat to watch. Also, I recommend watching the first 4 films to fully enjoy this one. And the movie has a 7.4 rating on IMDb. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel to see more videos related to movies and series suggestions.